Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode. I'm one of your hosts, Sami, Kinnison, here with Angela Belford, and today we're going to be talking about belonging. Have you ever been to an event or shown up in a conversation and you're just like, I don't know if I'm wearing the right thing, and what do I say? Do I fit in? Is this really like the circle that I'm supposed to be at? Then this episode definitely is for you. Angela, you hypothesize that there is a small switch that we can do that can change us how we show up in these conversations, in these rooms, in these moments. Let's hear it. What do you got for us today?
Well, for starters, I want to talk about the idea of belonging. So many times that's one of the 7 core beliefs that we unpack in Traveling Light. And it's one of the beliefs that on my belief assessment, when I'm doing executive coaching, and whenever someone scores low on belonging, they will say, and it's funny how often they'll be like, oh, that makes sense because somebody else has to affirm that whether or not I belong. And I go, actually, I don't believe that's true. And so there's this kind of widely held belief that belonging, you don't get to decide if you belong, that other people are deciding that information, that they're making that decision for you. Do you belong? And they all look at me like, that's not true. I don't get to decide for myself. And so the switch that the kind of what I like to explain to people is thinking about when you are going to an event where you don't know, like maybe you got an invitation to something and you're like, I don't know. Is this the right thing? Last year, when you and I went to Podfest, we're like, what do we expect? Is everybody going to be cool? Are we going to be one of the cool kids? I mean, Sami, have you experienced this idea of like being nervous about being in a room?
Absolutely, I have. I think what's interesting is I have not experienced needing somebody else to validate whether I belong there. That is unique to me, and my brain is still wrestling with it. We did not prep quite thoroughly enough before this. I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean other people have to check with other people and like look at somebody else? Because there's so much of belonging that's identity in my own experience, and me identifying with whatever role it is or space I'm in, that matters more than somebody else's validation of that. And anyway, so I definitely are times though where I'm like, I don't know. I don't struggle. I'll be honest. This is where we're at. Okay. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to like toot my horn over here. Belonging is not one of the core beliefs that I struggle with.
Right.
It's not. Of the 7 core beliefs, like belonging for me has always rated very high. It's not one that I have a lot of question marks about. I do have some question marks about if I'm enough, and even sometimes do I have value. And in those ones, I'm like, no, somebody else is the one who determines if I have value. It's not me. And so I'm like, maybe that is a pattern. I can relate, but on other areas. So sorry, not trying to brag.
Nope.
And owning that I got issues in other areas. So if this is your issue, welcome to the table. We're all messed up. It's just depends on how. Sorry for not setting up your point very well.
That's right. In a future book, I will be unpacking why I think you don't have issues with belonging. And why
you're going to write a whole book about me?
No, I'm going to write a whole book about abandonment and how it causes issues with belonging.
There you
and because
go.
you don't have tons of abandonment, then it's one. Okay. Back on track. All the way back. So when we show up and we're wondering all of those things, then I have started labeling that as guest energy. So I'm full, my body is full of, I am a guest in this room. I'm waiting to find out and confirm that I belong here. Contrast that with if you are throwing a party. So let's say we had the big party for the Belford group or the 25th anniversary or any kind of party that you are throwing, and you want other people to feel welcome in your space, and it's important to you that they feel welcome, I have labeled that as host energy. You could be hosting a retreat, you could be hosting anything, a dinner party at your house, and you want other people to feel safe and comfy. I call that host energy. And
Mm.
notice who gets to decide which energy you show up in the room. Like, I have walked into rooms since I discovered this idea. I have walked into rooms and been like, of course I belong here. My struggle with belonging, I ended up figuring out that I belong to me. Like, that's the most important
Mm.
thing, is that I belong to me. And when I go into a space, if I make a mistake, if I don't actually belong there, I belong to me. Right? So it's all safe. So I've noticed that when I show up in host energy, I actually then make sure that other people around me, like, hey, do you feel warm and comfy? And people consistently say, you have such great energy.
Mm.
Like, we heard that over and over again while we were at recently at a Podfest conference, is like, oh my gosh, you guys have such great energy. And so,
I think that what's interesting within that is that I I do carry that mantle. I've done some different personality things, strengths finder, strengths quest, Gallup strength, whatever it's called at the time that you're listening to this, because it's changed names about 8 times, but it's still the same assessment. One of my top 5 strengths is inclusion. It matters to me that the people around me feel included. And I am somebody who I try to spot who are the people that are not getting included in this conversation. And I'm going to be that really annoying person at the networking event that says, no, everybody scooch out, somebody else is joining the circle, everybody like make space, do these things. And there are subtle ways that I think that that helps show up with host energy and feeling like I belong and letting other people know that they belong. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be big grand gestures. It
Mm-mm.
can be the act of making sure that somebody has space in the circle. I also have a weird philosophy. Anytime I'm with a group of people, ebbing and flowing, there always needs to be an empty seat. Or if I know that somebody is coming, I'm going to make sure that that empty seat is there for them. I don't have to get the empty seat once they are there, because that feeling of like, oh, you're here. Hold on, where are you going to sit? What are we doing? I don't know. Maybe there's not a chair. I'll sit on the floor. Like, you feel like an inconvenience. You feel like a burden. It's hard. I don't want people to feel that way. If there are no other chairs, I will already be sitting on the floor before you show up so that you know this chair, this is for you. And what is funny is when I end up in a space where there are a couple of people, and we've had times where like there were like 5 of us sitting on the floor and 8 chairs. Like, we just want to make sure everybody has a chance to like feel included. Like, we're all leaving a lot of space. And it was like, at some point, some of us can go sit in the chair and we don't all have to sit
That's
on the
funny.
ground.
I love that. I went to Bob Goff is a best-selling author, and he had a writers conference that I went to a few years ago. And after dinner, he's like, okay, everybody come out to the fire pits and we will chat and sit and just hang out, and they'll have s'mores makings. So we all, go back to our cabin, we come back. And when I get to the fire pit, there's like 8 people in rocking chairs. And Bob sees me and he goes, Angela, get in here. We need you. And it was
Hmm.
like, it was the next level of you belong, right? It was
Hmm.
like, oh, not only is there space for you, but this conversation is going to be richer because you. Now, here's what I know is that the next 7 people that showed up, Bob said, hey, get in here. We need you. Now that I'm thinking back, I don't even know that he said my name, but I heard my name.
Hmm.
As I tell that story, I don't know that he actually said it, but and we just kept making the circle a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And after a while, I was like, oh, is it going to get too big? It never got too big. Like it just, it
There
continued
was
to,
always enough space.
there's always enough space for one more.
I think that this is definitely an area where fake it till you make it is a really good strategy. So I'm coming to have a little bit of a complicated relationship with fake it till you make it because sometimes it works and sometimes I got lots of extra things going on with it. However, if you don't know that you belong, if this is something that you are struggling with, I don't know that I belong in this room, in this conversation, in this moment. If you were to look around at the people around you, you probably wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, that person, they totally don't belong. And I need to make sure they know it. You probably wouldn't. You probably are looking at all the other people saying, oh, they belong. How can I make sure that they know that they belong in this circle? And if you take the time to think about what are you doing to make sure people feel safe to speak up? What are you doing to make sure that every member of your team knows that you appreciate them and that you're grateful that they're there? If you add those relationship marbles, like we talk about, if you put that investment in other people, I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe it will come back to you and you will start to get that affirmation yourself. So even if you aren't sure that you belong, there are people that you know belong and you can affirm that in others. And in that act of putting that out to people around you, I know it's going to come back to you. You may not know exactly how and you may not know exactly when, but it is something that it is really good to, I guess it's not even fake it till you make it on this one. It's just affirming what you want to see and what you want other people to know.
Be the change you want to see in
Be
the
the
world.
change.
Be the
Exactly.
change. I do have one more thought on this, and that is this idea of like, it's in the neighborhood of fake it till you make it, but there are times when this is kind of the opposite, kind of a contrast, but there are rooms that I go in that other people are very glad that I'm there. And I realize that if I'm the smartest person in the room, the most skilled, the most talented, whatever it is, I don't want to be, that may not be the room I want to be in because I love being in rooms. I prefer to be in rooms where I'm not the smartest person in the room. I prefer to be in rooms where I'm going to learn and I'm going to glean. And I may be really good in an area, but I just in general want to cultivate networks of relationships. And that doesn't mean that there are places that I go that I'm the mentor for sure, but like I definitely need to be fed. And that has helped me also to see the contrast is because there's rooms I fit in and I don't actually want to be there. So
I think that there are also rooms that we consciously leave and don't want to be in because it's not a positive influence. And I may have once belonged to the partiers room, the space where everybody is not, taking themselves seriously and being accountable. I did belong in that crowd. I don't want to belong there anymore. And that's okay. I want to belong to a new crowd. And that deciding this is where I want to be really does make a difference in how you can no, I want to be there and now I am there. This is where I belong. So
love it.
You can be in a new space and that's okay. Okay, so this has been a good conversation. I hope that you all are able to take this simple switch, showing up like a host, not showing up like a guest, and see how it works. Try it on. See how it changes the way that you interact and show up in the world. Next week, we're going to be talking more about the art of allowing and what does that look like and how can that also continue to uplevel all of our experiences so that we can all go be freaking awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, go to our website and you can get subscribed there. Until next time, we hope you guys go be freaking awesome.